Hello everyone, and welcome back to another DCEU Topic video. For the past few videos, we've mostly been taking a look at the DC Extended Universe from a pretty general stance, never really exploring one single entry into the franchise. Today though, that's gonna change a little bit, as we finally rest our eyes on Suicide Squad, the next installment of the DCEU franchise. The movie is set to follow the classic team of villains from the comics, and just like the comics, you can expect that not all of these villains are going to be making it out of the mission at hand. For this week's video, we'll be going over each member, or in some cases simply characters in the film, and their chances of making it out alive. We can go ahead and start this with probably the easiest one in the group, Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie. Not only is Harley Quinn one of Batman's staple villains, she's also one of the biggest characters in the whole DC Comics lineup, obtaining a massive fan following as of recently. So the odds are pointing to Harley surviving the night in Midway City. If that's not enough for you to consider Harley's safe status, however, it should also be noted that reports had come in about 2 weeks ago that seemed to indicate Harley would be appearing in a spin-off movie. There's not a lot of details on the project at this time, hell, Warner Brothers hasn't even confirmed the thing officially, but it's enough to almost guarantee in my mind that Harley's probably going to be safe and sound. Next up on the list is Deadshot, played by Will Smith, and this alone tells me all I need to hear. Will Smith is a huge actor and brings a lot of star power to the role of Deadshot, leading me to think that the character is going to be relatively safe. Outside of this though, Deadshot is one of the mainstays of the Suicide Squad in the comics, being one of the longest running members of the villain group since its reinvention by John Ostrander in 1987. Both of these factors do a pretty good job in convincing me that Floyd Lawton's most likely going to be leaving the mission unscathed. Now, with the two obvious ones out of the way, let's dive into everybody else. Next up we have Slipknot, a character I knew nothing about and have since not wanted to know anything about. He's likely gonna bite the bullet. Not only can this be backed up in trailers where the character was rarely seen outside of a small snippet of him rappelling to a ledge, but it can also be backed up by the sole fact that he is Slipknot. A character with almost little to no name value within the pages of DC Comics itself, this member is most likely going to be dying. And probably very early. Most likely getting his head blown off by Amanda Waller. Sorry, Master of the Rope, but we need people with abilities a little more useful. Next up, we have Killer Croc, who I'm actually on the fence about. Showcased much more prominently than our previous candidate, Croc has a bit of relevancy within the DC lore. He's considered to be one of Batman's family villains, in that he's one of the more recognizable villains within the Dark Knight's Rogues Gallery, but honestly not by that much. Overshadowed by villains like Poison Ivy, Two-Face, and the Penguin, not many of the general audience might know who Waylon Jones is, and as such, might not be as invested in him from the get-go. He's a Batman villain, and that might draw some interest for him to return by execs, but if he died, there'd be no huge outcry by anyone, and it'd be no huge loss to the DCEU. As much as I love Killer Croc, this one is gonna have to be a tentative maybe. El Diablo is another lesser known villain, but I think he's one that has a much higher chance of staying alive. In the more recent trailer, we saw Diablo show off his fiery personality a little bit more, and it showed us, the audience, just how much more powerful he was than originally thought. It also gave somewhat of an indication that he'd be going through a character arc within the movie, one that showed him using his powers in order to help keep the rest of his teammates alive. It'd be a shame to kill off a character after such a revelation, but the actual comics weren't above cutting down character moments to show the gravity of the situation, so maybe the movie won't be either. I say he'll make it out alive, but we never truly know with Suicide Squad. Up next is Katana, and I actually think she has a genuine shot. Described as being a bodyguard for Rick Flag, Tatsu Yamashiro, aka Katana, is a big character within DC Comics, being that she was one of the original members of Batman's group of superheroes, the Outsiders. While it's doubtful she'll be making an appearance in such a group if it ever shows up, she is a really big hero in DC canon, and I can't imagine Warner Brothers and DC would want to kill her off when there's so much that can be done with her in the future of the expanded universe. That Harley Quinn solo feature mentioned previously actually indicated a huge focus on female DC characters, so I actually would expect Katana to show back up there. I'll be betting on her surviving the night in Midway City, personally. Next up we have Captain Boomerang, one of the characters I'm actually the most excited for, and I expect him to survive. The reason? He's a scumbag. He'll find a way to slip away with his head still well on his shoulders by the end of the movie. Captain Boomerang is also a big member of the Suicide Squad in the comics, appearing with Deadshot in the Ostrander series as well as many other incarnations. He's a veteran just as much as Deadshot is, but the thing that's genuinely going to keep him safe is his role in the movie, that being the prime comedic relief. The dude is an asshole, more willing to guzzle down a cold one than help out his teammates battle fish demon things. In short, Boomerang is going to live. You can quote me on that. Now, she's most likely the villain of the movie, but she still seems to start off as a team member, so we'll go ahead and cover her. Enchantress, the darkly clad witch played by Cara Delevingne, has an interesting chance in my mind. If we're talking about another superhero movie franchise, I'd say she has no chance whatsoever of making it out alive, but as it stands, well, it's 50-50. You see, my biggest support of her making it out would have been Justice League Dark, a planned project that would have focused heavily on the magic side of the DC universe, and I'm sure Enchantress could have been used to huge potential in such a movie. As it stands, however, the movie has been placed back in limbo, so we don't really know where she could show back up after Suicide Squad. If she were to bite the bullet, it'd be understandable and even somewhat expected, but seeing her in the trailers, she actually looks like a cool villain for a future movie. I'll say I want her to live, but I'm not gonna get too hopeful. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to do it for this list. If you disagree with the list or you think some of these characters have a lesser or greater chance of surviving, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for listening, guys. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, it really helps out the channel. If you want to see more of our videos, go ahead and hit the subscribe button to check out all of our newest podcasts, reviews, character bios, and more as they come out. We'll see you guys next time on the next DCEU Topic video.